Okay, we'll change the aspect ratio first. Okay. Then playback, export buffer. I shortlisted two more topics. One is the other part of it. After lens distortion, we have something to modify in equalizer, then we'll export to Maya. And then taking one frame as a reference, you reconstruct the 3D environment in equalizer and export it to Maya. These two topics we'll be looking at in the coming classes. Okay. So this is the problem here. You see that pillar? Okay. The pillar is not straight. If you type in Google Wikipedia, just check in this. Wikipedia open करने में इतना हो गया यार. Something like this. Okay. Industry, once while they are recording, they'll have an idea. If the camera has some distortion, they will create some grids like that. Using that grids and what is a camera lens distortion values, aspect ratio values, focal length values, based on that, they start doing work automatically. Right now we have just a footage which has some lens distortion and we don't have any other information. So we are trying to understand the process which would reduce that distortion from equalizer. When you take it to Maya, it becomes a straight line where it will be more comfortable for us to add the content. Now once you have footage with lens distortion, your final output with 3D content adding also will be with lens distortion on. It is like you are unwrapping now, add the content, again you wrap it. Okay. So there are different types of distortions. Based on that, they'll have a different distortion grids in the production unit. Okay. So here what we are dealing is, we'll go with the normal process. Basic tracking is common. Once you start solving, there we come with the process of lens distortion. So I'll quickly fasten the tracking issue here. Control play. You can use both the pattern method or the marker method. Okay, this way. I'll make it fast. Make it to center. but for this we need more track points. While planning to work on this footage, my system crashed that laptop, so I deleted all the data. I messaged them. Today I will go for replacement. Okay. So how many now? 4. Just go with 1 1. Okay. Endpoint. Endpoint. Guys, can you sit in the lab and talk or go to the other room? I'll take few track points on this particular thing also. Okay, something like this I've taken. Okay, I can go with a regular format, find by track points, and then cache the file. Okay, so the camera panning shot it is. You can easily identify it is just panning. But if you see the curve, it is like brakes are there. Okay, so as of now, I'll go with use the result. You have 1.51. 0.5 is what our expectations would be. So we can go with a regular process, or just go with the lens, focal length. I'll make the adjustment. Window. This is a common process we maintain. It decreased to 0.97, one level. Next, after this, the point starts. Previous examples, we were using only inside the lens distortion. There is something called degree 2. We don't know what we are doing. I used to say switch on this button and apply the solving method. Here, what we are actually doing is, again, why I opened this tab to explain or showcase this. These are the different types of distortions you have. The depth distortion what you have has, each one has its own unique name, which is calculated in the form of degrees. Okay. Now, when you have this grid distortion grid map given by the camera people, this whole tension will not be there. But when we don't have that information, it is like tweaking. There is no particular order that I have to take this value, or this will be done with this proper value. Kind of tweaking. So as of now, I'm just taking distortion degree 2 and distortion degree 4, and then I'll go with the same process over here, adjust. We'll talk about this more in the next class, because as I said, I went prepared for that from, what do you say, analyzing part I've done it. After analyzing, what should be modified before taking it to Maya. There comes this degrees topics and all this. In PF track, we don't have all this angana. Just apply the distortion. You have lines tool. I will draw horizontal and vertical line, x-axis and y-axis and z-axis. It does the task, export. But this industry says this is more accurate. Okay, this is done. Close. Now it is tracking part. We have come out with that. The next. Oh, sorry. See that proper, almost proper line. Okay, 0.63. This is fine. Till here, if you see, it's everything is proper. Means like as it is the footage part. But you can see only the distortion part in these two things, lineup controls and distortion grid controls. Only in these two menus you can see the content there. So if I just come for the lineup controls, here this is like for our checkup whether the distortion what you are trying to do has come out good or not. Okay. Now one option you can check is the tracking point. It has already done some distortion, sorry, undistortion, but it is not that required. Suppose if this is something like here, some variation is there, okay, but it is not as per our requirement. The process of checking is manual way, means when we are trying to analyze manually that what could be the better option when you say distorted footage is modified to undistort. A pillar cannot be bent, right? The pillar is bent there. So if I can make it straight means I have removed that distortion. So this is for the preview lineup option. But if I come to this distortion grid controls, this is the location where you can work on. Right now some grid method is activated, which we don't use. Here if I just come into view option, show matrix method. So matrix grid is on. We will be using the distortion grid. So I'll switch on this guy and switch off this. This is the grid which we use for our making the distorted footage to undistorted. You have transform properties for this, rotation, scale and transform. You can see the corner there, it is bent, that corner, and this plus mark indicates you can transform it, you can scale it from the corner and you can rotate it from the corner. Okay, so what we are actually trying to do is the grid, whatever we have, this horizontal and vertical lines, I'm going to match to this part and then tweak these values over here. Okay, so for that, right now we can scale this, make it little bigger. I tried to place this particular line exactly straight to that starting of the pillar. Okay, It's up to you how you want to place it. Suppose if I say I want to place something like this or to the center of it, alignment is our choice, how you want to make it. So I'll take it as the starting there, this one. Here if you have, switch on this guy, okay. Now if I start tweaking the values here, this is distortion. I'm just undistorting, making the pillar straight. Pillar got straight, but these lines what we are trying to match, so still this is not aligned to me. You can just rotate these lines. See, 3/4. These values we need to tweak. Now I have taken somewhere 0.165 something. The moment I increase and decrease, it's see 1.87, it is looking far better for me, so I can just move accordingly. This way. You can see the edges bent. The pillar is straight now. Okay. Once this is okay for us, then we can come out of the things and see. Here, like I said, it is only for our preview part. It will be visible. You cannot edit it here. But if you see the points there, track points, from the first class we are looking at the red point, which is a track point, should match with your that X symbol, which is a 3D track point. Now here it is not matching. That is what we need to work on. We need to match those 2 points after distortion, then export it to Maya. Here once this is done, I can just come over to distortion grids. Once we are happy that the footage has come out good for me, the next task is to already solve the camera, align the camera, origin point, and then export to Maya. So I can just go with orientation, ortho, side. Okay. Right now all points are at the bottom. I haven't taken enough points to set that X and Z axis, so I'm not going with that. That we can do in Maya also, but here I'm going to align the anchor point. So again, come back to lineup controls. Maybe I'll take this guy. Points. Manual tracking, selected that. Go to 3D models, edit 1 point and origin. Okay. Origin, everything is done. For me, just to check whether the tracking has come out good, I can just go with the cube. Okay. Align to global space, and which is the anchor point. This is the anchor point you have selected. Shift, select them. Part 1. Whatever we have done the tracking is same thing. So the last classes, whatever you have done. Here the thing is that once you have modified these values here, where is this? These 2 values, distortion 2 and distortion degree 2 and 4, we have 4 I haven't modified, it has given the data to me, but degree 2 we have modified. Okay, to zoom in and set the thing and all. Here, from here the mathematical calculation starts. Now, if you say this shape, whatever we got, when I try to compile it to, suppose your resolution is here, what is the resolution of this footage? I think it's 1280-720 footage. Inside the 1280-720, distortion, this is the frame for us. 1280-720. When I turn that distortion off, there will be gaps, right? So that gaps to be removed by using some mathematical calculations. There is some, let's say, title for rescanning or something. Still working on it. We'll convert that with that one. But otherwise, this is also one kind of output you have. You can add the boom diagrams, everything. Undistorted. So how you modify the undistorted to distort again, Maya. You need to render two types of image sequence for Maya. One is distorted and one is undistorted. Align them, replace them, all things will come. This footage I was searching for 2-3 days to find something new. Cameramen, if you can shoot some footage with